Hello, my name's Pam, and this is my Jesus story. It started on Mother's Day, 2007. In 2007, my oldest son's wife left him and his little girl. My granddaughter was 1 at the time. And it just tore our world apart. He was a police officer at the time, and so he had a really hectic schedule. So I stepped in being Emma's mom. Emma was so broken by that she had severe detachment disorder. She couldn't look a stranger in the eye. I mean, she cried if you walked into a room of people she didn't know. And so I just tried to take up that role of helping out. Cody worked all kinds of late hours, so Emma stayed with me a lot. And so during that time, I just started to physically decline. Well, then, by 3 years in, Cody had met Renee, had met my daughter-in-law, the woman that we had prayed for. She was an amazing wife and mother, and I was no longer needed in that role for Emma. But by that time, I was in daily pain, so much pain and so much fatigue that I was to the point I couldn't get out of bed. I had started trying to see doctors, trying to figure out what was wrong. Finally, after I don't know how many years of different doctors, I was finally diagnosed with fibromyalgia. I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia. The doctor said, "Here's a pamphlet. Go home. There's not really anything you can do." So I had gone from this busy, active life of, ministry, mom, friends, family, the photography business and our other business, to I was in bed all the time. I was in so much pain I couldn't get out of bed. I had to get a mobility scooter. I couldn't walk without pain from the car to the grocery store. My husband took over all of the daily activities like that. He did the laundry. He did everything. All I could do was make a weekly appointment to the doctor, and I couldn't go to church anymore because it was just too painful. I couldn't focus. I couldn't concentrate to read. I couldn't hold my Bible because I didn't have that much strength. One of the hardest moments was when my oldest grandson was born. And I couldn't hold him but for just a few minutes because it was so painful. I'd wanted to be the grandma that did everything. I was going to be there for everything. That's what I, did for Emma. And here I couldn't even hold him. Well, throughout this time, I believe in healing. I was part of a healing ministry. We traveled around to different churches, and in this healing ministry, we saw people healed. We saw cancer healed. We knew God healed. And I had my family and other people close to me. They're like, "Why don't you go to this special healing service?" And I'm like, "No, God's telling me it's not time." And, life had pretty much just stopped. But there was one thing that I still always wanted to be there for my kids and grandkids, for the important things. And on Mother's Day 2014, my granddaughter, Emma, the one who had been so broken in the beginning, was going to be in a special Mother's Day service at Crown Point Church. So I had to be there. As I was sitting in that service, I was in so much pain, and I thought, I just can't sit here. And for whatever reason, Cody was sitting behind me and put his hand on me, and I don't know if he prayed. I'm assuming he did, but I just had enough peace to sit there. And I really couldn't tell you what was being said at that time. I couldn't concentrate. But then all of a sudden, I heard, and it was Christy, Pastor Newby's daughter, who was preaching that day. And I heard her say, "We've been seeing all kinds of healings. We've seen MS healed." And in that moment, I heard God say, "It's time." I don't know what else she said. I just knew I wanted it to be done. I wanted her to be done so that I could go forward, because I knew that day was my day. And as soon as the service was ending and she had an altar call, I was down that aisle. And as soon as I stepped into that aisle, I felt like an electricity going through my body. I mean, I can't even explain what that was. It was just like God was reworking things there. And when I got down front, Pastor Newby prayed for me. I didn't tell him what had happened. I didn't tell him what was wrong. But what he prayed was exactly about every symptom and every thing that was going on in my body. And I stepped away from that moment healed. My illness started on Mother's Day, 2007. My healing came Mother's Day, 2014. 7 years to the day. It was time. So now I've gone from not being able to walk from the car into a store to hiking mountains and crossing streams and with no pain and no just complete restoration. I'm Pam, and this is my Jesus story.